Hi, this is Tamara from mooglyblog.com, and in this video, I'm going to be demonstrating how to make the hanging gift card holder and luggage tag, which is a free pattern you'll find on mooglyblog.com. If you go to the link in the description, there you'll find a link that links you out to both the right and left-handed video tutorials, the written pattern, and all the supplies you need to make this project. This project uses just 25 yards of Red Heart Scrubby Smoothie, and I like to use two colorways. This is the Christmas colorway, and this is the cherry colorway. But of course, you can pick other colors and even make these for other holidays, whatever you like. You'll also need the standard tools that you need when you crochet, such as scissors, a yarn needle. Buttons are optional, and stitch markers for this can come in handy. And of course, you'll also need a crochet hook. This one is an H by Furls. Let's go ahead and get started by taking a look at a couple of finished ones here. Now, like I said, the buttons themselves are optional. This isn't a functional button, purely decorative. So you can decide whether or not you want to add a button, or you could even use surface crochet, or I've talked a little bit on my blog and I've linked in the tutorial at the link in the description. I have a tutorial on how to use iron-ons with this yarn. Particularly Scrubby Smoothie is great for this because it's 100% cotton, so you can use high heat with these. Like I said, the actual button is optional, so here's one without any embellishments on it. And the way it works is it's made in two pieces, which I'll demo here in just a moment. And then you can slip your gift card. I've just got a little promo gift card that I got in here. Or, of course, once you're done using it as a gift card holder, you can use it on your luggage. Just slip your business card or your personal information on there and put it right on your luggage. So that's just a great handy way to reuse this if you don't have a need for a gift card holder after the occasion. So let's go ahead and make our pieces. So to begin our hanging gift card holder, I'm going to begin with color A, which for this one I used the cherry colorway. We're also going to start with a slip knot on our hook. We're not going to use these ends to sew at all, so the standard 6 inches or so to weave in with is fine. We're going to begin with a chain of 11 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Then we're going to skip the chain closest to the hook and half double crochet in each remaining chain. Now, I like to work into the back hump, that third loop, if you will, of the chain, but you can work into whichever part of the chain you prefer. I just think it's a little easier to assemble the final project if you do that step now. So again, I'm just going to half double crochet in each stitch across. This is a great beginner pattern, so I'm going to take a moment here just to demonstrate exactly how to half double crochet. You yarn over, go into the stitch, the next stitch typically, or whichever stitch is indicated, pull up your loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops. And that's it. That's a half double crochet. I also do have a separate tutorial for half double crochet linked at the link in the description, so you can watch that a little bit more if you need to. And basically, half double crochets are what we're using for the vast majority of this pattern. It's just going to be half double crochets and then a little special stitch called a twisted single crochet that we'll use for assembly. Otherwise, this is a great pattern to make up for craft fairs, of course for gift giving, and as a great beginner learning pattern. So after we've half double crocheted in each remaining chain across, we should have 10 stitches total. So you can count your stitches every row if you like. Since there's only 10, it's pretty quick. Then we make the next 8 rows actually, so rows 2 through 9 are all the same. We're going to chain 1 and then just turn and half double crochet in each stitch across. That chain 1 does not count as our first stitch, so we don't count it. We just count the actual half double crochets, and we want to make sure to work into each stitch of the previous row. So we should have 10 half double crochets in every single row across. If you have trouble counting your half double crochet rows, you can put a little stitch marker in the end of each row. Stitch markers, again, are these little sort of almost like safety pin looking guys here. These ones are by Clover. They're some of my favorites. And if you put a little stitch marker in the end of each row right as you finish it, then that will help you count your rows too. Of course, if you've been making half double crochets for a while, you probably don't need to take that step. It's just a little tip for beginners. So again, you want to make sure to count your stitches each time, because especially with half double crochet, that last stitch when you're working back across can try and hide a little bit. So that's rows 1 and 2, and we're just going to continue just like that. Chain 1 and half double crochet across until we've got 9 rows made. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. You can do the same, and I'll see you when we've got 9 rows of half double crochet. Okay, and there we are. We've got our 9 rows of half double crochet. You can count these, we'll count them together here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So after you've made the first 9 rows, each with 10 stitches across, then we're going to make row 10 of piece 1. Again, we're going to start with a chain of 1 and turn. Let me pull up just a little bit more yarn here. There we are. And then I'm going to make a half double crochet in the first 5 stitches. So we'll go into the first one here. There's 1, 2, 3, there we are, 4, and 5. Then we're going to do a chain of 20. This is going to become that hanging loop. So if you know you need a longer or shorter loop, you can adjust your count here. I thought 20 was just a really good size. I tried it out on my Christmas tree, and it's also long enough to get the rest of the tag through if you want to use it as a luggage tag. So you'll want to play with that a little bit if you have something else in mind. So there's 2, and I'm going to go ahead and chain these pretty tightly because I'm not going to work back into them. I just want this to be a nice strong hanging tag. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. And like I said, you don't have to worry about making these a particular size or even having that same count. You can just go until you think that loop is the length you desire. Then, without twisting the loop, so I'm going to lay it down here, and I just want to make sure all my stitches are lined up. I'm going to yarn over and go right into that next stitch of the previous row for another half double crochet. And then of course we did the first 5 half double crochet and chained, so there should be 5 left. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and getting that last one there, there's 5. At this point, we're done with piece 1. So I'm going to put that down, pick up my scissors, and I will go ahead and cut my yarn. Again, I'm not going to use these ends to weave in, so I can cut them at about 6 inches or so. Just enough to weave in, not enough to assemble, I should say. I'm not going to use them to sew it together at all. So I'll just go ahead and finish that off. And then before I do the assembly, I would want to go ahead and use my yarn needle to weave in these ends right here so that they don't show right onto the back there. I like to leave this row as the right side. I just think that looks a little bit nicer on the finished edge than this side. So I would weave my ends, like I say, right into the back there so they don't show. And then this is also where I'd add any embellishments. I could add a simple button if it was for just like a birthday or something like that. Of course, there's Christmas ones if you want to stick with a Christmas theme. You can do all sorts of things. Really go for the gift giver's interests, whatever you like. And like I said, you could even use surface crochet or an iron-on if you like, whatever you prefer. After that, of course, you set this piece aside, and then we'll pick up color B and make the second piece. So let's do that together. And now we're ready to begin piece 2, which I'm using the Christmas colorway for. This piece is going to start exactly the same way as the first one. We're going to start with a slip knot on our hook and chain 11, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then again we're going to skip that first one and make 10 half double crochets. So each of the remaining chains will get a half double crochet. And then indeed it is exactly the same through row 9. So it's just 10 half double crochets worked across in rows for 9 rows. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on my second piece here. Again, just like the first one, all the way through row 9, and then row 10 is where it's a little different. So we'll make that one together in just a moment. All right, so when you've completed 9 rows, let's count them again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 rows of half double crochet, 10 stitches in each row. Then we're ready to begin row 10 of piece number 2. So again, we're going to start with a chain 1 and a half double crochet in the first 5 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're just going to chain 1 and then right away half double crochet in the remaining stitches. So we're just leaving a little space here. This will be the space that our hanging tag from piece 1 will fit through when we're ready to hang it up. So that's 3, 4, get that hook through there, and 5. And once you've finished row 10, you're not going to break your yarn. Remember, with piece 1, we broke our yarn right after we finished row 10, but we're going to keep this one attached, and we're going to use this to finish it off and assemble the whole thing. So we're going to begin row 11. We chain 1 and turn to work back across row 10. Now, this is where we're going to be using the twisted single crochet. And again, I've got a separate tutorial for this linked in this tutorial that's linked in the description, but I'm going to go ahead and demo it for you now too. So I'm going to go right back into that first stitch and pull up a loop. So far, just like a standard single crochet. But before I finish it off, I want to make sure those loops are pulled up nice and high, because what I'm going to do is, holding on to the fabric with my non-hook hand here, I'm going to spin the entire hook, as well as obviously the loops that are on it. And then I need to be able to yarn over and pull through both of those loops. And that is our first twisted single crochet. And that first one doesn't look great on its own, but when we keep going, it's going to look better and better. We'll go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, pull it up a little bit taller than you normally would there for a single crochet, spin your entire hook around, then yarn over and pull through both of those loops. You can see I'm really holding onto those loops as I pull back through. It just makes it a little bit easier. Go into the next stitch, pull up that loop, spin your hook again, yarn over, and pull through 2. Now what this mimics, now that you can see it starting to form here, it mimics the look of the crab stitch or reverse single crochet, but it's a lot easier because you're working the same direction you're used to. There's no working back or trying to pull the loops up over each other. As long as you can pull your loops up high enough to twist and then work through, it's going to be a lot easier. So far we've done 3. We want to do 2 more before we get to that chain 1 space. So pull that up, spin, and then yarn over and pull through. And if you find that you cannot pull through, then go back, unspin it, and pull those loops up just a little bit higher. So this is my 5th one, like so. There we are. And then I'm going to do the same thing right into that chain space, that chain 1 space. I'll go in right in there, pull up my loop, spin, yarn over, and pull through. And then I'm going to work a twisted single crochet in each of the 5 remaining stitches across here. And then we'll be ready to do our assembling. So if you forgot to do it before now, before you want to assemble it, you'll want to go ahead and weave in any ends and add any embellishments to that first piece. It's a lot easier to do it now. If you change your mind later, you can still add buttons and such to piece 1, but it's just a little bit harder when you don't have access to the back to sew it in as well. And of course, you don't want to accidentally end up sewing your whole gift card holder shut so you can't get any gift cards in it. So I've got 1 more of these to put right here, right in this very last one here, like so. And then it will be ready to assembly. But you can see we're getting a great finished edge right there along the top of our holder. So I'm going to put this down for just a second and pull up that first piece we made. You can see I've woven in my ends. I decided not to add any embellishments to this one right now, but I'm just going to go ahead and lay it right on top of the one we've been making, piece number 2. Just like so. I want to make sure that the hanging loop is lined up with that chain 1, since that's where it's going to fit in. And then if I need to or desire to, I can take some stitch markers. Let me grab some that'll stand out a little better here. How about some bright yellow? And I'll just use these to pin these bottom corners together. Again, this is optional, but it just helps you make sure that as you work around the edges, they don't start getting away from you and getting unaligned. You want them to line up really nicely as you work all the way around your holder. So with those pinned together with your stitch markers, we're going to carefully pick this back up, and I'm going to chain 2 for the corner. That's what I'll do each time I come to a corner. And then I'm going to go into the side of the first row of the first piece and the matching space right back here on the second piece. So I'm going to be working through both layers at this point. And I'll yarn over, and it takes a little wiggling sometimes to pull that loop up, but it's okay. Just take your time. Pull that loop up nice and high. And then we're going to do our spin, and pull through, just like so. And we're going to continue doing that right down the side of our holder. Just try and eyeball it, work evenly. If you haven't worked into the edge before, I do have a separate tutorial on that as well, but it's really just a matter of using your eyeballs and your best judgment and sort of trying to line them up and get them looking so that the stitches are about the same distance apart as you work down the side, and that they just look nice. That's really all there is to it. As long as you're working through both layers, they'll be held together nicely. And we're just going to continue working right down along the side. And then of course, when you get down to the bottom corner here, you would chain 2 for the corner, and then make sure you line up the 10 stitches across in each foundation chain so that you pair those up and work through both of those layers. Then chain 2 again, and then continue to twisted single crochet up this side evenly, just like you did on this side. If I pull my hook out here, you can see, oops, so I've got one more stitch already made, so I'll go ahead and finish that one off. We'll twist and pull through. There we are. You can see how that's holding these two sides together. So as we go all the way around, we'll come right back up here. And as soon as I've worked these two right here together, then I'm going to chain 2 and join to that very first twisted single crochet I made. I think the easiest way to do that is to actually cut the yarn and use a sewing needle to sew that last stitch to the first stitch right there. I think that just gets a little bit finished, little better finish. It's a little easier to see than trying to slip stitch back into that stitch. So after that, then, of course, it's completely done. So let's take another look at the finished one here to see how it works. And here we have our finished hanging gift card holder and luggage tag. You can see this was piece 1 right here in the red, piece 2 behind it in the Christmas. And I always love how each one of these is just a little bit different. You can see there's some similar pooling happening there, but each one's going to be just a little bit unique. And after we do our twisted single crochet with a chain 2 in each corner all the way around, just join it to that first one, and that leaves our top open. And then you can take your gift card or whatever else, slide it right in there. And then we've got that chain 1 space, put the hanging loop right through there, and that holds it closed, and provides the space to put it on your luggage. If you do need to put it on your luggage, it might be easier to actually send it through the loop and then put the card in if you need to slip it in. It can be a little tricky. If you want to add it to bigger pieces of luggage, you may need to create a longer loop. Just try it on your luggage as you go too. But in terms of giving it as a gift card holder, I think chain 20 is just the right length. So you can play with it on your own. And this is a really easily adjustable pattern. As you've seen, it's just half double crochets with a little bit of edging. So you can make this any custom size you might need. And then of course, dress it up however you like. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. And if you do, please give it a like and thumbs up and let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to go to the link in the description where you can find all the supplies you need, including this wonderful yarn Red Heart Scrubby Smoothie, the hook, and everything else you've seen here today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy holidays, of course, and happy crocheting!